how far can we actually go and what do we do then?
One of the main problems is that if you don't know the why you're doing it, you might be building the entirely wrong patent portfolio. If you're a semiconductor company and you're building a business around licensing out your technology, that will not be the same as if you're building an AI drone company where you want to keep most of your stuff secret and just have defensibility or freedom to operate.
Yeah. I am Dominic Davis, CEO and co-founder of Lightbringer. I'm a former software engineer turned patent attorney turned entrepreneur.
My name is Olav Asvik. I'm the CCO and co-founder of Lightbringer. 20 years of experience from building deep tech companies and a lot of experience with patents.
My name is Marcus Andreasson. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Lightbringer. I'm a prolific inventor and software builder.
You can see why this has happened, though. AI has progressed in capability very significant over the last 3 years. And the AI of, let's say, early 2023 was basically good for solving how quickly you could go with certain tasks. Eventually, it got good enough with structured data to start solving quality questions. But we haven't until relatively recently had the kind of capabilities within AI to start asking the high-level why questions, the big picture, like why are we even doing this for our business?
Yeah, and I think this goes for AI over all fields.
Yeah.
Especially in the last 6 months, it's just accelerated so quickly.
Yeah.
So suddenly you can do stuff that just wasn't possible before.
Yeah.
Now when we're actually living in that it is so much faster, there's a lot of other stuff that needs to be fixed. And one of the key problems I see is that quite often you're limited by a human. Like your business is limited by a human that's outside of your control.
Yeah.
If you instead have an AI that continually works for you and makes stuff better, you will be in a much better position.
Exactly.
There is like a theoretical best practice of doing, let's say, patent drafting. You need to do many different steps, but in reality, you skip many of those steps in order to save money and time. But with AI, you can actually do them. You can do all the steps you should do for every patent.
Previously, it was like a financial constraint. You couldn't spend that many hours on a single patent. But now it's not even that, because a human is never able to look at 150 million patent documents and lots of product like files and results and
data.
Measurements and data and basically have omniscience about exactly what and how to protect it. But AI can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's, I know we've talked about this, like we're supposedly pretty smart people with a lot of ideas and innovations and patents and stuff.
Start to question that.
No, but we both started to question, what do I bring to the table?
Yeah.
Because at certain things, the AI is just so much better than what I'm doing. So I need to focus my thought capital on stuff where I can add value instead of just handing it over to an AI.
Yeah. I mean, obviously building a lot of software these days and with AI. And it's an humbling experience, to be honest. It's like, I thought I was good at code, but apparently I'm not. I mean,
in comparison.
In comparison. So it's like, I'm starting to hand over tasks to AI in software development that I didn't even do before. So, and we build the same thing in the patent service where we get ideas from AI now, how we can improve. Patent service, and that's
and one of the things that was really gating before, and I know this from experience, like you needed a patent attorney that exactly knew your field. Otherwise, they were quite worthless because if they couldn't understand what I was talking about, why would I talk to them? But now I kind of see the opposite thing. So I'm talking to an engineer, and they have to spend 15 minutes. This was just the other week. A PhD has to spend 15 minutes explaining to me how something works so we can just progress the meeting.
Yeah.
And that just, the AI just immediately understands everything. So you need to hook into it instead of, you need to get out of the loop. You don't want to put yourself as a blocker in.
Which is a great example of something that hints to the fact that the entire process needs to be rebuilt from scratch to work in a better way for the actual inventors. Getting the people out of the way when they're actually a blocker and using people when they're actually adding value.
And I think there can still be value add on extracting information from humans. There is something special about several people around the table basically bouncing ideas of each other. But the AI can then pick up all of these and just extract them. But if you just put a single human in front of the AI, today it doesn't get everything out.
Yeah.
Not because the AI can't, because the human needs the social interaction to actually come up with the things to say.
Yeah, and when it comes to invention, I still think that humans are much better than AI to come up with the new insights, the new ideas. It just magically happens in the mind, in a sense, and then. But as soon as you describe it to AI, it just understands what you mean, which is kind of. So, did you already know this, or I don't see any sign that it did. It just understands, like everything around the idea.
Yeah, so, and it's quite interesting. You can take the AI and it can search all human information and basically find nothing, and then you tell it this new idea you have, and suddenly it understands it. And then it becomes obvious to it that this is how it should work. But it didn't know it 10 minutes earlier when it was looking at all the human data so far.
Exactly.
And the way I explain this is that the AI has excellent context, excellent background for the invention. It just doesn't know the invention itself. But once you provide the invention to the context, then it has the full picture. Yeah. And it can instantly understand things arguably better than perhaps you did in the first place. Yeah.
And that makes the process so much faster when you can just give that seed into the AI and it immediately grows into a massive tree that you can then harvest from.
Yeah. And by the way, the patent journey, if you talk about it like that, starts with the inventions. That's where we should start using AI. Today, it's more like the patent journey starts when you call the patent attorney.
I think one of the things we'll see as well is that people will be discarding many, many more ideas. Because previously, if they had an idea, they had to protect that idea. But now they can basically come up with 100 ideas, and you don't want to protect all of them. You want to keep some secret, you want to discard some, and then you want to patent a bunch of them. It was like running different types of development projects. The biggest mistake you can make is basically say, okay, we have a solution, let's build that one. Before you've actually said, okay, but what are all the possible solutions that we could have? And then decide on basically what is the best one to put our resources on.
I've got a couple of anecdotes which I think are really exciting about AI capability and how it's starting to change the industry. The first one is a feature that Lightbringer recently introduced, which is the ability for inventors to provide feedback on a patent draft and get instant feedback to their feedback. So they can leave a comment and then the system will say, okay, that's an interesting idea. Let me give you immediate feedback on your idea. And we launched this feature, and one of the first people that used it was actually a PhD, very experienced PhD in a particular field related to material science. And they left this comment on one of the claims, which was, oh, I've changed my mind. Actually, the range for this should actually be different. And to our horror, the AI started arguing with him and said, well, actually, you've mentioned that these materials can be used in combination. And when they're used in combination, your original idea is appropriate. And then we looked at the PhD's reply and it was just, okay, fine. And that was it. And that was our first moment of real like tension around how the AI will be able to work with our inventors, with our customers, and the outcome is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it feels like the AI is reaching in and want to do more, right? So it's almost like we're holding it back, and maybe we should take that feature and, hey, you should have a discussion with AI before you even comment, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people that kind of fear, should I change from my existing attorney? It's because, well, they know our tech so well.
Yeah.
But in truth, they are nothing compared to what the AI is.
Right. Yeah. Let me give you another example on that. So when Lightbringer, the software starts writing the patent application, before it writes a single word, it will go off and read every single patent that already exists for that for that company, to understand the way they use it, the terminology they use, the way they're thinking about their technology. And of course, it will read all the surrounding applications as well, the prior art and so on. It will then write the application with all of that in mind. So it will make sure it uses the right terminology. We don't have to sit with the inventor and get a list of corrections. No, we don't describe this in this way. We describe it in this way, because it already knows. It's already checked how the terminology is used at that company.
Yeah. And that is a superhuman thing.
Yeah.
Because previously you could potentially hold 3-4 documents in your head.
Yeah.
And now you can hold thousands.
Yeah. And if you've been working with that company for 10 years, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's your first patent application, there's no hope of being able to do that.
Yeah.
But with the correct AI alignment, we can actually achieve amazing results in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in maybe a few months from now, we will look back and think about, we used to review patents.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it anymore because we got bored of it, because it was already great.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I once again got 100% result. Why should I look at this thing?
Yeah.
I'm basically worse at reviewing than the system is at drafting.
Yeah, exactly.
So building upon what you just said and what we talked about is that you have a human that basically knows your technology. And if anything happens to that human, you're basically screwed. And you're so attached. And I've lived this. I was attached to you, and previously I was attached to another attorney because I was so afraid of losing that person because it had happened to me. I had lost them. And this is maybe my biggest pet peeve with the old industry. The way I lost them was that I thought they were working for me, but actually it was a junior associate doing all the work, and the person I thought was working for me was just signing the documents.
So you didn't even have the...
I didn't even get the person that I wanted to get.
Yeah.
And the reason why I noticed is because the quality just went through the floor.
Yeah. Coming from the software industry, it's hilarious that you're building up the code base, so to speak, in the mind of a single person, and you're betting almost your company on this person, and then they leave, and then you're back on square one. I mean, where is the code base? It should be in a system, right?
Yeah.
So anyone can go in and get started quickly and improve it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like the first thing to fix with the old process is to remove this dependence on a single patent attorney. So any skilled patent attorney can go in and work with your company's portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, just to push back a little bit on the idea that if you lose someone, that's it, you're in trouble. Of course, another skilled person could come along and learn your subject matter as well. But guess what? You've got to pay for that. You've got to pay for the hours they need to work with and you've got to pay with money and your time, because you have to re-educate the new person. That's particularly the pain point, and that's something that occurs frequently.
So you go into a meeting, you sit there, and you realize, I'm teaching this person something.
Yeah.
And I'm paying them $500 an hour to teach them.
Yeah.
Which is just an insane way of... In any other industry, that was just like, okay, no, I'm going to come home to you and fix your bathroom. But first you have to teach me how to fix your bathroom. And you have to pay for it. And then I can fix your bathroom. It's just so... But there's still a lot of people who kind of feel like, oh, I have this safety net that I need to keep. I think that's what's keeping a lot of people away from actually just going all in on AI, that they think that I've switched attorneys in the past and the experience was so horrible, so I don't want to do it again.
Exactly, that's what I hear also.
Yeah.
So one of the drawbacks with doing that is the drop in drafting quality and the requirement to re-educate. But the other issue is, of course, strategy. And strategy requires the kind of big picture of not just your patents, but your business and everything else. That is a skill that relatively few professional attorneys have. Some do. But the way it works, the nature of the business, they work for a different business than you. They work for a law firm. And I'm afraid to say they're incentivized not to truly understand your business and to give you the best possible advice, but to give you the impression they've understood your business
Oh,
and that
yeah.
they're giving you the best advice
Ouch.
with the minimum amount of time spent on their end.
The smaller boutique things, they don't really work out because you need some kind of economies of scale to make things work. And you need to have, like we've built, you need to have a team that's building a platform that's making everything work. And not every single attorney firm can do that. And the problem with the AI tools that are currently being built for attorneys is that they incentivize the old model.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of time. I mean, it's gravity. I mean, think about the music industry when it went from analog to digital. The CD, when you had a record with digital music, that was just arguably a long step, but it was just a step from analog to completely digital, where you have like the analog step is from the mouth of me to the microphone, and then from the speaker in my ear to my eardrum. That's the analog step.
Yeah, I've done patent strategies for close to 200 companies now. Almost all of them that have a patent when we start talking, they have patented the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because they just went to an attorney firm and said, I need a patent. And the attorney firm asked, what have you invented? And then they patent that. And it's completely wrong for the company.
But that's my other issue with these tools. They're just solving some of the immediate problems that the existing attorneys working in the existing process are asking to solve, which is, I want to write a patent claim quicker. They're not using AI for the things that it can really be transformational for, which is, for example, the big picture thinking, looking at all of the documents in the environment and really getting the right thing, focusing on protecting the right thing for the business. So what is the Lightbringer Way, and why is it good for innovators?
Strategy first, you usually...
Yes, always strategy first.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
It means that we start doing a strategy before we start working for the customer. Basically, we offer the strategy and the advice completely for free. Because they should not feel like, oh, I have a sunk cost fallacy. I've already spent all this money on this thing, so I need to spend more money. We need to be 100% aligned with the tech company that we're working with our customer.
Yeah.
If our incentives are not 100% aligned with what the customer, from a business model to how to implement it, if that's not completely aligned, the customer, the tech company will not get what's best for them. So we need to set the strategy before they even decide to work with us.
Yeah. So what I said before, that the patent journey starts with the invention, it's actually starting before the invention, right?
The inventor always thinks that the patent journey starts with the invention, and it's completely wrong.
It's the most interesting part of patents is the invention.
And I completely disagree.
Yeah.
The most interesting part is what can it do for your business?
Yeah, exactly. A problem with that is that if you don't have a strategy, what you will go with is the most intense feeling of novelty and inventive step.
Which might be the secret sauce that you absolutely don't want to tell anyone.
Yeah. Don't tell them this.
So the number of times I've had to tell a customer, please withdraw your patent before it gets public, because you're about to screw over your entire company. That is so common, that is scary. They should be patenting whatever is visible on the end product, not the secret sauce that no one will be able to access.
Which they are most proud of, right?
Which they are most proud of, because the CTO asked the key engineer, what is your most golden nugget that you have?
Yeah.
And then they say, let's patent that one.
I totally agree, but I always think about what the Lightbringer Way is from a slightly different perspective, which is sort of who we are and what we're building, as well as the customer, what the customer wants. And from the beginning, I think it's been so important to build a business that is, at the end of the day, aligned with our customers, rather than some sort of slightly misaligned arrangement that the current industry, the traditional industry has, wherein their incentives are to bill as much as possible. And a bit like what you said, our incentive is for the customer to actually win. And the way to do that, and the way we've structured our subscription model, so that you get basically everything you need for this patent for a fixed price every year, incentivizes us to be better and to build more and to make the software work in a nicer and easier way for everybody using it. I think that's really paid very, very valuable dividends, because we've ended up with a completely different business, a completely different product, and a completely different mentality for serving our customers than the traditional industry.
Yeah, and there are a number of things that are today paywalled, like describing your invention and doing your strategy, that just shouldn't be. They should just be free.
Yeah.
That's how you really start your journey.
Yeah.
And then once you've decided, yes, I'm going to go on this journey, then we will help you out. And then we will actually charge you money for doing all of the work that is value adding into your company.
Another take on the Lightbringer Way is that there used to be a process, right? I mean, the old process was great for the constraints that we had, where humans had to understand all the inventions, had to translate them into patents and write that down. And the billable hour and all of that is that's the output, the outcome of those constraints. That makes sense. But we don't have that constraint anymore. And we are on a journey to go from an old way to a new way, the Lightbringer Way. But that journey isn't completed. It started, right?
Yeah.
And we have come 3 years into that journey. So my take on the Lightbringer Way is also that it is a learning experience. We are rebuilding all the time as we learn more about the new reality of patent work and technology protection and so on.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that just isn't possible in the old model. You just can't say, okay, I want 4 novelty searches on these 4 ideas, and I want them while I'm drafting the patent. Or I want you to read 10,000 documents in the portfolio and the competitor portfolio and find all the white spaces. It just isn't possible in the old way, and it's so powerful when you actually bring it to a client. So especially the ones that are doing like licensing, like they really needs to understand what is the area that I can actually protect. Having one human try to figure that out just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's just rolling the dice with poor odds.
Yeah, and it's also way too late to start novel search when this is the invention, now let's look if it's new. That's like, I mean, it's when you think about it,
It's silly.
Why didn't you do the novel search first and then?
And why didn't you do it?
Novel search is a concept that has many meanings, but you should probably not invent in an area that is already patented, right? You should be close to it, or you should go around it and all of that.
Yeah, even before you start your business, you should know, how does the landscape look like? Because if I start putting hours and hours in an investment in and then see, okay, this was actually completely blocked by someone else.
I mean, when you are a mature business, you kind of know the front line. You know it.
And you know that you're cutting edge.
Yeah. But sometimes you need to go into a slightly different area.
Yeah.
And then you should consider if you should do that or not, or if there is a different way of doing it.
I think these are all details of a big picture, which is that we are a company that has understood that a new technology is changing the way certain types of work is being done. And we have positioned ourselves in a way that incentivizes us and aligns us to actually take that new technology and find ways to bring that value, the value of that technology, to our customers in every single way we can. And so all of these details, it is like we've understood how to use this new technology, of course AI, to actually provide extra value across these different spaces without being constrained by how do we build some extra hours for that type of work. In fact, it's the opposite. And that's very, very powerful. That's what allows us to go very quickly. It also creates an obsession, and I know all 3 of us have this obsession with keeping up with the technology, with tracking AI, understanding new capabilities, and getting those capabilities into the platform, into the way we work, to bring extra value to our customers as quickly as possible.
And I need to take a short anecdote about a large customer that I talked to. And they proudly showed me this presentation where they had the IP department on a little island with moats, literal moats, between R&D and business, head of business. So they were in the middle and they were kind of gatekeeping everything. And that's exactly what we don't want to do. We want to have a free flow of information between the business information, between the engineering, and then together with the IP to make sure that you build the absolute best business case with absolutely zero moats in anywhere inside the process.
I mean, part of my job is to make sure that we have the right type of user experience around the platform, where CEOs can go in and understand the patent situation from their point of view. A CEO is a super smart person, but it needs to be on top of everything in the company.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't give them a patent claim and say, look, we are protected. It needs to be a different language for a CEO. For a CTO, it's more about understanding technical coverage and all of that. And for the inventor, it should just be, I have this great idea, just put it in here, and then I don't have to care about the patents after that.
I know we joked a couple of years back that you were basically doing PowerPoints for the CEO, like continually through the process. Infographics,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just because what you described right now, the user interface for the CEO didn't exist.
Yeah.
So again, the human had to be a blocker.
Yeah. That's a nice way of thinking about it. The user interface to the patent process is, in the traditional process, a person, and it really doesn't need to be. It's just information. And that's another thing where, Ola, when you talk to customers, how do you phrase this? What's the way you...
So the way I phrase it is that depending on who you are in your company, you will look at IP from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And depending on who you are when you go into the Lightbringer platform, you will look at different things. The inventor will not go in and look at the same thing that the CEO looks at. Or the CTO.
Not at all.
Because the inventor is completely uninterested in how the portfolio is doing. It's only about the innovation. Total control, zero effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're looking for. So that was what I wished I had. And I got it through you.
Yeah.
I got zero effort because I paid you so much money so that you could... Yeah, he's nodding along. Insane amounts of money to have zero effort. But I still wanted complete control. So you had to feed me with certain things. That is now the user interface towards the CTO.
Yeah. But
I could have control.
If you had like a 10 times bigger company, you would have to scale him up 10 times.
Yeah, and that's
possible now, but it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. But that's actually what you see in larger companies that have not yet transitioned. They have 10 people doing the translation between the external firm and the internal stakeholders. They will not be replaced completely because you still need to have an internal person who only thinks about that company when you go to a certain enterprise size. For like up to pretty large companies, a couple of hundreds or 1,000 patents, you can easily just let Lightbringer do everything, your complete virtual IP department. But if you're a very large enterprise, you probably have 1 or 2 people, but suddenly they are superhuman.
Yeah.
And they can do stuff that was just not possible to do pre-Lightbringer.
We're doing something there that also sort of gives a hint to how obsessed we are with the customer experience. So we don't just have patent attorneys, we have multiple layers. We have a fulfillment team that comprises patent specialists, so those are the attorneys, but also product specialists. These are people who know how to use the Lightbringer process, know how to use the software, and will take the time to talk to the customers and teach them how to become very familiar with the platform. And then we have account managers who are very interested in what the customer's doing, making sure they're keeping up and making sure
that the business is going in the right way.
Yeah.
That the patent portfolio is aligned with the business continually.
Yeah. And all of that's enabled because we have the right platform to do that.
Yeah.
And the feedback we have had on that setup is very, very positive.
Yeah. And the thing that we are upfront offering all the advice they need to get started for free. Yeah. That is something that is, for most people, it takes them a while for the penny to drop. But when they realize you're actually doing this, I had one person say that, okay, so you're actually thinking strategically about my company. I've never heard that from a patent attorney, which is silly when you think about it, but that's what we do. And with the platform you're building, things can be done that no human can ever accomplish.
Yeah. And it's also about bringing down these walls as a CEO, as a CTO, as a inventor, coming in on your terms, speaking your language. And we have only started with that, I would say. So we have this pet discussion around the invention disclosure form, which to me is like
An old process.
It's an artifact of the old process, and it's designed as an interface between patent attorneys, so they get what they need to do the patent, or at least get started with it, and it's not done for the inventor.
No.
And what I want to remove that, and I want to make it a very smooth process where you basically just talk about your invention, and then you have the strategy for companies already set. So the platform will understand what to patent next.
And one thing I'm extremely excited about is that platform will know which things you should patent. Based on your strategy.
Yes.
And most importantly, it will know it better than the inventor.
Yeah.
Because one of the key things I had a problem as a CTO is an inventor came and said, I want to patent this thing. And I had to be like, no, that's wrong for us.
Yeah.
We shouldn't do that. That's not where we should spend our resources.
Yeah.
And now we can basically say, okay, this is my engineering project. Please extract all the innovations that are relevant for my business.
Yeah.
That is, I'm super excited about.
And not just your business today, but where the business is going, which very often individuals will not see that big picture. It will usually just be the CTO and staff that work closely with the CTO.
Yeah. One of the concerns I've heard from people who have external IP advisors is that, well, I can't afford for my IP advisor to be in every management team meeting. So they don't understand my business. That problem is also going away.
It's going away.
Because we can let the AI be part of every meeting.
Yeah. It's already happening in most meetings today, so it's going to happen.
If you're an entrepreneur today that's going to need patent protection, that needs intellectual property, the way to think about it is, do you want to work with a partner whose main business objective is to invoice you the maximum number of hours? Or do you want to work with a partner that is from day one obsessed with getting the best possible data from you and your business so that they can then provide the best quality service? And the whole business has been aligned to achieve that outcome. That's the question every entrepreneur should be asking. And that's what we're building. And that's why we think this is the future. And we've only just got started.
Yeah. If you want to have an AI that can challenge your PhD level engineers in a way that no human ever could, then you should go with Lightbringer.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of companies that should not use Lightbringer, and it's just because they are not ready. They want to have this nice huggy feeling of a human saying everything is okay, even though it's probably not okay because that human doesn't understand your business properly and probably not your technology either. I like to say this because it's true. We're the first ever patent firm that truly has happy customers. Other patent firms have satisfied customers. But we have happy customers that are happy to talk about us. We had this personal referral to a company in Spain that we have no connection to because a founder loved us so much that they talked to another founder that then said, oh, this is something I must have. And that's just unheard of in the legal space. I'm satisfied and I don't want to risk a change. And if you're a risk-averse person that cannot accept the responsibility, then you're probably not for us.
So it's pretty obvious that we are building something for the future. The way people will protect technology in the future will be very different and very, very much better. And we're positioned to do that. The exciting thing is we've only just got started. This is the beginning of our journey. Our customers are already very, very happy with us, but they're only going to get more happy as we keep going.